wanted to do it because I was hoping it would make an awareness of how marvelous it is to have live entertainment in your own little city. And I think I've heard somebody say they've never had anything exactly like this in Brewster. And if so, I'm awfully glad we did it, and hope it will keep an awareness of the importance of that bond issue. And I realize there's a lot against it. I realize that, but you know, if we don't do it this time, we'll do it next time. I do not think you keep giving up on a good idea. It takes time sometimes to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Yes, Andy.
I have a question, okay? Is the Southeast Museum in the same building as this theater is going to be?
Yes,
Yes,
it
sir.
is.
And we've proposed a $3.8 million bond to finance the renovation of this building?
Yes, sir.
And if we close down the museum, what's the point? Thank you.
I understand your point. The stage, as I contemplate it, can be a gem and a magnet on Main Street to attract folks to Main Street to shop, to walk, and to live. The stage was, I mean, I support the museum. I love the museum. With respect to this renovation, the focus is not the museum or under any scenario. The focus was always the stage.
I would just like to say one thing. I was at the show that Mr. Pippin produced, and it was fantastic. It was an evening of, it was magical. The evening was magical. And I point this out because as magical as the evening was, I had to look at it in a nuts and bolts kind of a business type of a perspective, because a lot of people have spoken to me about this, the bond project and the renovation and what's going to happen, and sort of like, oh, isn't it really a folly? Well, it's not really. Let me tell you about this as a folly. I said, gee, we really need to make certain that people out there know that we intend this to be a revenue-producing place. This is not just something that we're all going to walk around in and look and say, oh, isn't this gorgeous, and oh, isn't this nice? No. This theater has the potential of being a real revenue producer. Andy, you said it before, you got to have the credits and the debits. Well, the point is this, in my opinion, is not only going to be debits. This is going to be credits. It's revenue. And I will tell you that those of you who had the great fortune of being at that show that night know that when we produce, and there will be shows there, and there will be charges for those shows, you can have people coming in and deferring the costs. It's very important that you know that the Old Town Hall people have a business plan too. It's not just something that they intend, that this bond is going to simply make a pretty building. This bond is going to help us produce something which is revenue producing, which we can be proud of, and which Mr. Pippin spoke so eloquently about, because I will tell you that show was fantastic, and anyone who went there, or anyone who spoke to anyone who went there that evening, should be inspired. So I personally thank you. I honestly, I've been to a lot of Broadway shows, and that show was fantastic. Thank you.
Item 4. Item 4.
One comment?
Sure.
Mr. Pippin said, I grew up in Pleasantville, and they had a theater downtown, as Brewster has, and the theater, the Rome Theater, eventually closed. And then a group of wealthy people got together and created the Burns Theater Center, which attracts people like Clint Eastwood and so forth. And that has led to unique movies, both international and domestic, and the restaurants have come. There were always a few there, but a lot more have come. So Pleasantville has become a magnet for entertainment with that Burns Theater, which could happen again in Brewster. Peekskill, the same thing, that Paramount Theater downtown. That's rejuvenated downtown Peekskill, which was pretty bad, as you might recall. So, Ridgefield, Connecticut. Okay.
The Bardavon in Poughkeepsie.
Tarrytown is another one as well. So just to reiterate that it will become a magnet, and it's something that we really need to support. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Item 4, office temporary help.
Well, that's something I asked to put on the agenda. I think with the economy the way it is, and with it's not necessary to have temporary help coming in if someone's not at work for the day. There doesn't seem to be consistency on when we call in temp help, when we don't have temp help. I also have concerns that who these temporary people are that are now sitting in an office with town documents. We have no background checks on them. We don't know anything about them. Confidential reports laying around. So I think in the spirit of cooperation, that if an employee is on vacation, we could go to another department and see if somebody can help fill in. Phones can go on voicemail, could be periodically checked. That was why this is on the agenda.
Do you have anyone in mind in the office?
Well, it was,
Like mine?
what's that?
Like mine.
Yeah, well, your office, yeah, mainly. When Nancy's not in, I think it's not necessary to have a temp there. Just like I didn't think it was necessary to have a temp, which happened to be Nancy's daughter, during the summer to fill in for the building department when a town employee was on vacation for a couple of weeks. And now you don't even want to have anybody down there at all next year. You don't want to have any staff. But we needed to have somebody for those 3 weeks when Nancy's daughter needed a job. So
I had a temp today, too. Nancy's away on vacation as part of her compensation. You have a comment about my temp today?
yeah, I don't think it was necessary to have a temp there. I think that whatever work she did, when I came in, she wasn't really doing too much of anything. She was just sitting there.
Do you have a package of materials tonight for the pertinent to the meeting?
But it could have been done by somebody else.
Did Ruth prepare it?
Well, did you ask her to? If you told her Nancy was on vacation, I'm sure she could have maybe gotten
I've asked her in the
somebody to do
past. She's declined, Bob. The temp in my office today was a community-minded volunteer, and she took her own time for free, no cost to the taxpayers, because I asked her to help out the supervisor's office and to help prepare for this meeting. And I commend her and I thank her for her community mindedness and for serving the town of taxpayers for free today.
But the other temps that we have don't do it for nothing. And that's still also the issue of, I don't really know who these people are that are coming in and seeing confidential reports that are in your office and everything else. I think that that's just in saving money. We shouldn't have temporary people coming in.
So it's okay on January 21, 2010 to vote for $1.8 million with no RFPs. But if we're going to talking about a temp, then we got to draw the line somewhere. Is that your point?
No, I brought this up once before. I don't think it was necessary in the summer to have temps down there. And I think that would have been a good litmus test for us to see if we needed to have an office temp when the secretary for the building department was on vacation. You said it was imperative that we had somebody down there that is such a busy office. Well, I don't know now come January how we're going to survive because you don't have anybody in the budget to be in that office in January. Okay. So I don't know what changed from August till January that we needed to have somebody for 3 weeks, and now the rest of, in 2011, we don't need anybody at all.
Thank you, Councilman. Item 7, JNR Holding Special Use Permit
five.
Application.
Skipped 5.
Pardon me. Right, reimbursement by Mr. Wrights and Mr. Yee for unattended conference from February 2010. That's not my budget, that's not my agenda item. Whose is that? Was that yours, Bob? Roger?
No, but I'll speak to it. It's not mine.
So who put it on the agenda first?
I don't know, but let me just say
Well, how
about
did
it.
it get on the agenda then?
Why
So
they're
once
running
again,
from it. Yeah, why
I
run
don't want to
from
play
it?
games with this
I-
agenda.
As far as I'm concerned, I've asked about this many times.
Wait,
I
wait,
put
wait,
it
wait.
on the agenda.
You asked for it to be on the agenda?
Yeah, I put
Thank
it
you.
on the agenda.
Thank you.
My goodness.
The
And let's
bottom line
talk
is,
about it.
the bottom line is you promised the town a check for $200, and, yeah, it's peanuts, but it's $200, so we're still waiting, and we can certainly use it.
Roger, I have a credit for a future seminar, which was arranged by Nancy Kalbfell, because I was not able to attend that particular seminar. I was ill. I mean, if I have to have a doctor's note, I have a doctor's note. I would put it in for reimbursement through the accounting and the town medical plan. So the vendor of that seminar was kind enough to roll the credit forward, and anyone in the town can use it. Maybe we can send Levon, or we can send Kevin or somebody else, at a future seminar to use that credit if I can't use it. But it's $200. So we're talking about needing RFPs for 1.8. The comptroller's insisting on RFPs for 1.8 million, and you're talking about a $200 credit to a past seminar. That's outrageous.
And I had addressed this earlier, that I had attended the conference, and yet it's now placed on the agenda that I should reimburse the town for unattended conferences from February 2010. I will continue to focus solely on the issues of this community, whether it's quality of life, how we spend money in the town of Southeast operations here. But I will not decline my integrity and continue to be dragged down by personal issues by this board. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
and let's just make it clear that I think it might have been the second or third meeting, maybe a couple of meetings after, I had the issue, how this issue really came up, because it was brought up that there was non-attendance. And what then happened was a voucher came. We had vouchers, and it was one of the first times that I was signing vouchers. And I noticed that there was a voucher that wasn't being signed for the conference for Supervisor Wrights and Councilmember Yee, and I had questioned it, and it came out that they hadn't been there. And, I finally said right on the board meeting, I will sign the voucher as long as Supervisor Wrights and Councilmember Yee, although it might have just been Supervisor Wrights, makes a commitment tonight that they will reimburse the town. That's how this came about, because they said, or maybe it was just Supervisor Wrights, that he was going to reimburse the town. So I signed that voucher on that basis. So this has nothing to do with credits or integrity. What it has to do with, well, maybe it does have something to do with integrity. Let me think about that, because there was a statement made and a commitment to reimburse those monies, and that's why I signed the voucher. This isn't about little things and 1.8 million. You know something? If you don't honor confidentiality requests from a comptroller, if you don't do that, and if you don't do things like honor your commitments made in a public meeting to reimburse monies, that might be little, not to me, because if you don't honor those requests, then what else don't you honor? That's the way I look at it. And I want to tell you something. I thought when I signed that voucher that the reimbursement was going to be made within the week. And now it's still there. And I think it's a little disingenuous for people to be talking about integrity and 1.8 million and all this other stuff when they miss a fundamental point, which is that they made a commitment and now it should be fulfilled. And that needs to be pointed out.
Ms. Hudak, this is the third time I had informed the board that I did attend the conference, and yet you still put on the agenda my name for unattended conferences. So, again, it appears to me that you are declining my integrity and dragging in personal issues again, and I appreciate that you don't do this in the future.
Then why was the commitment made when I asked at the meeting? Then it
Ms.
should have
Hudak,
been said, there is no way that I'm going to do that.
Okay, Ms.
That's
Hudak,
all, and
your
I'm not
point is
going to
made.
do it.
Your point is made.
So,
point is
I don't know. I
I mean,
need to
the
know.
way that, if I remember how this all started, was because Michael and Dwight felt that it was inappropriate for some of the town employees to go to this seminar and stay overnight at a discounted hotel room, and they thought that that wasn't appropriate. And then, when we look into it more, I thought it was more inappropriate that you sign up for the class and then you don't go to it. So I thought that was kind of ironic, and that's how I think this whole thing came out. But I would like to thank Councilman Yee. I understand you did give back your raise for 2010 after I realized and publicly embarrassed you that you accepted the raise after you said you weren't going to take it. So thank you very much for that.
I'd like to further, you didn't publicly embarrass me. You attempted to publicly embarrass me. What I did say last year at this time when the raises are going into effect, that I had asked the board members to all participate and not take their raise.
But you said you weren't going to take
Wait,
your raise.
Mr. Cullen,
and you took it
obviously
anyway.
you wanted to do another personal attack. Yes, I deferred my raise for this year, and I did notify the town accountant to do such, okay? But I had also asked other members of this board to do that also, in which they did not do so, and I wanted a joint effort to do so. But because it was just me that you were trying to pick on at the last...
you're
But
the
no,
only
wait,
one
let me
that said
finish. Because I did say it, I did make the statement, and I did take the pay cut, okay? And that's the point that I'm trying to make. All right? It's not about, oh, you didn't do it and I got you. Okay? That's not the point here. The point is this community is suffering. I give the analogy over and over again. People drive on Route 22, go past the gas station because it says $2.99 for gas, and they stop at the next one because it says $2.98, and they saved a penny for a gallon of gas. That's what's important, okay? So my 4% raise I did give back. I asked the other members of the board to do the same thing, which they did not, okay? So please, again, once again, try not to decline my integrity.